It's done.
Does Ahmed sit there?
Okay.
Oh, I'm on.
Yeah.
Local network connection.
Okay. Hi, because we're live on YouTube.
Good morning. I'm blessed and grateful to be in recovery. My name is Dr. Felice Cellini, and this is our Sunday morning Why Wait for Recovery Community Sunday morning recovery meeting.
Yes, good morning. Hi, my name's Heidi, and I'm blessed and grateful to be in recovery. I'm a compulsive overeater. I'm an emotional eater. I'm a binger. I'm a purger. I am a drug addict in recovery, and I also had bariatric surgery.
And we have a low connection, can't connect to live video. And I'm a drug addict, alcoholic, anorexic in recovery. Good morning, everybody. Good morning, and thank you for being here. So, we're still on the honesty thing, and
Honestly,
we're having a problem
okay,
with
that's
the internet
fine.
this morning,
Please
so
carry
we're
on.
good. Okay, good.
So we've been talking about honesty the whole month, but for some of us, we don't know if we're lying. You know, when I was in active addiction, my addiction spoke in my voice, and it told me I had to have this stuff, and I'm obsessed about it, and I needed it right now, and my life wouldn't be the same unless I picked up and I used. And it didn't matter what I was using. It could be food, it could be drugs, it could be anything, just as long as I could change the way that I felt or try and control the situation in a way that I thought I could deal with it, and it just seemed to escalate and get worse and more unmanageable.
And I think that the dealing with it part too is a big part of the lie. So, you know, they say that every time we picked up on a lie. And that lie was that it's okay this time. And you know, it's only going to be for this weekend, and really no one's going to know anyway, and what's the big deal? And it's only this once, and I got this thing, you know, I have it under control. And actually, it's really not my problem, it's everybody else's problem. If everybody else would leave me alone, then everything would be okay. And those are lies that we tell ourselves consistently so that we could do whatever it is that we're doing and continue to do it and continue the behavior.
And the magic words for me as a serial dieter and a food addict was everything can start again on Monday. So if I was really good during the week, I could binge and purge on the weekends, and I could start that magic diet on Monday that would solve all my problems.
Yeah, and so
Make
that-
me happy. So.
Yeah, and so were we happy? No.
No.
Were we miserable and guilty and ashamed all the time? You know, could we stop on Monday? Sometimes. The challenge with addiction isn't that we can't stop, because we do stop. We just can't stay stopped. And so we stop for a little bit of time, and that's when we tell ourselves that we do have this thing and we do have it under control. And see, if I was a real addict, then I wouldn't be able to stop for a second, but we can. It's just the staying stop part and the lies that we tell ourselves so that we can start again.
And the tremendous willpower that it takes. You know, I had
Because we know addiction
amazing-
has everything to do with willpower.
Right, and I used to think when I was in that diet mode and that food mode, it's all, if I found the perfect diet and if I just had enough willpower, or if I just prayed to my higher power enough that they created the situation that was perfect, and if I looked a certain way, I would be happy and my world would be perfect. So what I did is I put my life on hold. Essentially, I have gaps in my life where I was really miserable. I saw nobody, I did nothing, I blamed everyone, and I took no responsibility for where I was, other than being really sick and miserable.
Yeah, and the thing is that, you know, on the outside, we don't take responsibility for where we are, but on the inside, we definitely, you know, we wake up every morning, you guys, and we promise ourselves that for today, we're gonna do either what we need to do or not do what's gonna hurt ourselves. And it's 10 o'clock in the morning or 1 o'clock in the afternoon or whatever time comes up, and we act on that behavior anyway. And we go to bed guilty and we wake up ashamed. And it's kind of like Groundhog Day. You know, we do the same thing over and over and over and over again, thinking that's going to be different, lying to ourselves about that, expecting that different result. And we don't get that different result. And the reason why we don't, you guys, is because it's not about the behavior. So remember, it's never about what we're picking up. It's not about the food, and it's not about the opiate, it's not about the gambling, and it's not about the sex, and it's not about the alcohol, it's not about the binging, and it's not about us starving ourselves. It's about what's driving that behavior. It's about taking a look at ourselves and finding out how we feel, what feelings we're trying to mask, so that we could figure out why it is that we're doing what we're doing, so that we could change that behavior.
And so that we can enjoy the movie as it's happening. You know, I always thought that when I was high, I was normal. I used to be normal because I thought that I wasn't okay on the inside. I always felt that something was missing, I was less than, or something was up with me that I couldn't fit in. I wanted to feel on the inside how you looked on the outside. And then I put my life on hold and I turn around and I'm 52 years old. And I've missed so many opportunities enough to be happy and to enjoy the moment. And I think this is one of the reasons why we do what we're doing, so we can choose happy. We've got so many choices during the day. I also just want to quickly do a little bit of housekeeping. You can join us in our virtual room, in our waiting room. All the details are on What's Eating You on Facebook. People either come join us in the room, they live stream us on YouTube, or they join us in the waiting room and actually join in the conversation, because key to getting well is discussing what's eating us.
Yeah, and so you just talked about, you just spoke about something about, me not being okay, and that's the whole thing with staying in active addiction, you guys, is that we're not okay. And we need to figure out what that is that's keeping us not okay, so that we could change our perspective, so that we can change our actions. Remember, changing our actions doesn't change our perspective. So, and I talk about this all the time, Haiti had surgery. It was a while after her surgery. She had lost 100 pounds, and I walked into the house, we were gonna have a meeting, and she was crying. And almost on the inside, as an addict in recovery, I was giggling almost, because it's the place that every addict gets to. So maybe the surgery. Now, did the surgery keep you healthier? Absolutely. Did the surgery change the way that you feel? Absolutely not. And so at that point, she was thin and looking on the outside fantastic and feeling scared and sick and alone.
And when you looked at everything on the outside, it looked amazing. Beautiful house, great kids, awesome husband, good job. Everything looked amazing, but on the inside, I wanted to die.
Yeah, and so you guys, getting skinny doesn't make us happy, right? And eating doesn't make us happy, and using opiates doesn't make us happy, and the gambling doesn't make us happy. It gives us a little bit of a buzz, touches whatever receptor in the brain that it touches for 30 seconds or a minute or sometimes a couple of hours. And then you guys, no matter what, when we come down, man, we're still with ourselves.
So I've got a question for everybody. And the question is, because a lot of us go, I don't think I'm a food addict, I'm a gourmet. I just love food, and how do you live without food?
Excuse me, I wasn't an opiate addict, I was just an opiate gourmet, by the way.
So the question for the people...
it's the truth.
Right, so the question for the people who are a little confused. So if you did one diet and you lost all the weight and kept it off, guess what? You probably don't have a problem. If you have done more than 3 diets in the last 5 years, good chance you're a food addict. Because the behavior modification, no matter how much we change our eating habits, if we think that that is going to solve our whole problem, why do we keep picking up, and why do we keep dieting, and why we start happy when we lose that 80 pounds and then we start gaining it all back? So it really isn't the diet, it's more having to look at there's something else going on. And for many of us, we don't know what that looks like.
Yeah, and you guys, I'm going to tell you that if I wake up, and I'm going to say this again, if I wake up this morning and I promise myself that there's something that I'm not going to do, and I do it anyway, and I go to bed guilty, and I wake up ashamed, right? They talk about that incomprehensible demoralization. When I wake up with that shame and I get to carry that shame around all day with me until I use again, I've got a problem. And that problem isn't my diet, right? And it's not being a gourmet. The problem is my feelings and my perspective. And in recovery, we're going to learn to look at things differently so that our perspective changes, so that the behavior changes. And again, it's never going to work the other way. It's never going to be that you're going to diet or have surgery and get 100 pounds skinny and feel better. That's not going to work. And so there's a reason why in our office I see patient after patient after patient after patient. You guys know I'm a physician assistant. I do endo and internal medicine, and I see patient after patient who come in 100 pounds, heavy after their bariatric surgery. And so if they're not changing what's happening here, they're not going to change what's happening here. It's just the way that it is.
So I got told last week that I've got resting bitch face, but I can tell you something. And it's true, I may. But the thing is, when I was in when I was in active addiction, I had active bitch. Okay, I was short-tempered. I was irritable. I was mean to people around me, especially my family and the people that I cared for. I said things that I didn't mean. I was witness to millions of events that never had happened because then I could keep the chaos going in my world, so I could justify using.
Yeah, and you know what too, you guys, we're scared and we're lonely. No matter how we're acting on the outside, we're acting on the outside because we're scared and we're ashamed and we're lonely. And that's the place, you guys, that every addict's gonna get to, no matter what their drug of choice is.
So I'd like to do a go around. Firstly, I'd like to find out what people are thinking about honesty because we have been discussing it all month. If you want to discuss the topic at hand or anything on your mind or anything that's been happening, feel free to jump into the conversation as well, or Felice is going to pick on you.
So does anybody want to start before I start calling people out?
I do.
Good morning.
Good morning. I'd like to stay with the topic, which is honesty, and say that I've actually never shared with my niece Jillian about my struggles with depression and alcohol and drugs in my past. And I think that my use of alcohol and drugs stemmed from my depression when I was younger. I always felt less than and never felt good enough, and I felt different, and I felt separate and alone, and so I self-medicated. And now that I'm in recovery, my recovery started when I had a spiritual awakening one day, which completely changed my perspective and my outlook and my feelings and my thoughts, and kind of saved my life. Now, I have gained quite a bit of weight since then, and since we're talking about all these different things, I know that I will feel better physically if I get rid of the weight, because I'm not comfortable about the way that I'm used to feeling. But it's not making me, dislike myself or try to hide or anything.
Do you consider it a part of unmanageability?
Not sure.
Are you going to bed guilty?
No.
Are you waking up ashamed?
No.
So remember, when we're in active addiction, we're skinny, right?
Yeah, no,
I mean, we're not eating. If you're an alcoholic, you're not eating anything. So there's a difference between getting healthy and being healthy than there is being changing addictions from an alcoholic to food addiction. So you guys, we know post-bariatric surgery, they say that 30% of the people post-bariatric surgery automatically will step into alcoholism. Because it's easy, right? It's easy to drink a little bit and to catch that buzz, change the way we're feeling. It's a super easy cross addiction because it's not even like you need to go on the street and buy your alcohol, right? You just go to the store. So alcoholism is kind of an easy addiction to switch to. I'm going to tell you that I know zillions of people who were alcoholics or drug addicts that now are morbidly obese. Do they consider that part of an addiction? I don't think so. Should it be considered part of an addiction? Well, if I'm an addict, that's up to me to say. That's not up to somebody else to say.
So I just want to also jump in because, cross addiction for me is a real thing. I'm an addict and I'll either pick up cigarettes or food or drugs, or it doesn't matter to me what I'm picking up. I'd say we should have had like different clean time calendars so we can track
Oh my God,
clean
that used to
time.
make me crazy, by the way.
Yeah, but it doesn't, at the end of the day, it doesn't matter what we're picking up. The underlying thing is why are we picking up? And that's what we learn here, is we learn why and we learn from each other as well.
Right, and again, we know, listen, when I'm using, I know there's a difference between me not being okay and not wanting to eat this afternoon because I'm a little, like off center, off kilter, or if I'm starving myself. I know what the difference is. I don't need for you to define that for me because I know what it feels like in my head. And so addictions are personal, you guys. And for me, and I always say this, my addiction and recovery has to be very black and white. or I don't stay clean. So either I'm using or I'm not using. And so for me, with those behaviors, I know if I'm reaching for a behavior, I know why I'm doing it. And the why I'm doing it and how I'm feeling and the why I'm using has to do with whether or not I'm an active addiction.
Yeah.
Actually, Angie, you and I had a big conversation about that yesterday, about behaviors, right? Is this part of my addiction, or is this something that isn't part of my addiction? And only we can answer that for ourselves.
You know, and I just want to say something. I'm very proud of you because this also makes me, it's a very tough conversation to have in front of family members that you've never had before. I remember taking my son with me to a meeting and having the conversation because I always presented in a certain way, and I thought he'd be judging me, or I also thought I was judging myself more than anything else, that I wasn't that perfect person and I was less than, and he would see me differently, but it actually kind of brought us closer because he sees me as a human being. And not only that, I've learned that I never really taught my kids coping skills because the coping skills that I had was using. And I never taught them to discuss their emotions, which is something we don't learn in school. You know, this is something, unfortunately, it's such a huge part of our lives, but it's no one really teaches us. If our parents don't teach us, or family members, or being in the rooms or somewhere, if no one teaches us, we don't really learn how to do this. And it's such a vital part of being healthy and happy.
Yeah, and you guys, most people really appreciate honesty and feel closer to us when we are honest with them. And I love how many of us walk around in our active addiction thinking, nobody really knows. You know, it's like, well, how'd I get this way? Okay, I'm 200 pounds overweight, but nobody really knows I have a problem. Really?
Well,
You know? Or I'm falling down the steps drunk, but they just think I drink too much. I don't think so. Like, people basically around us know what's going on, no matter how well we think that we're hiding what's going on.
Or it was just easy diverting and judging everything. So it's easier for me to sit in that space and judge everyone else and fix everyone else's lives and make everyone else be busy to accommodate everyone else. So I don't need to look at myself, and I don't need to deal with myself, and I don't need to be honest, because you know what, if I am that honest, you'll think less of me, because you know what, I'm making myself vulnerable. And I was taught that you don't make yourself vulnerable. You show and present in a certain way, otherwise it's not good enough.
Yeah, and you guys, what we do when we do that is we put that wall up between us and everybody else that doesn't allow others to feel close to us. And that's just the way that goes. So we think that, we're showing a certain way, and other people just don't feel close to us because we don't allow them in.
And we denigrate our own value. You know, we put ourselves down on the lowest rung and put everyone else above us, and we don't take care of ourselves. You know, we look at ourselves less, and that's what I did for me. I was the lowest, I was the piece of shit. You know, when it came to things and when things still blow up, I still see myself as a piece of crap because everything's my fault and everything is the reason why things happen. And that's the ego side of it. So it becomes a double-edged sword. When I sit in ego and judgment, I'm really miserable because I think I can control everything. When I sit in humility and happiness and I'm spiritually within my program and doing the things that I need to do and being honest and authentic, the world looks so different and feels different.
And you know, for me, like my therapist, like when I talk to my therapist, I'm always like, well, you know, when I was a piece of shit addict, and she's like, Felice, stop calling yourself a piece of shit. She's like, you would never call another addict a piece of shit. She's like, another addict you love and you care about them and you do your best for them and you see them as some human having some kind of spiritual problem. And you know, you're there to help. And why do you call yourself a piece of shit? And I'm like, because when I'm in active addiction, I'm a piece of shit. And she's like, when you're in active addiction, you need help. But still, our behaviors are our behaviors. And so getting back to that, how we're feeling when we're in active addiction, that's something that we're all going to work through. And then once we get clean, something that we're still going to have to work on is being able to forgive ourselves. First, you guys, being honest with ourselves and letting and saying, not just to the world, if that's what we choose to do, but to ourselves, I have a problem. You know, there's something going on with me that I want to make better. And so I have this problem, and that's okay, because I am a human being. And that right now, if I show up and do my best to do my best, then that's what I need to do, and I can let the rest of this stuff go. You know, we're going to learn, once we're honest, to forgive ourselves as we forgive others. And I think that that's one of the biggest, most difficult things to deal with as we're in recovery. And one of the reasons why it's hard to stay in recovery. You know, because when we're in recovery, so now we're looking at ourselves and we're looking at ourselves honestly and we're ouching, right? We're going through the pain that we need to go through to have the growth that we need, and we can't pick up. So what do we do then? Now we're scared and alone and not using. And so that's when it's super important to actually step into recovery, because in recovery, we're getting honest with ourselves. We're learning to forgive ourselves, right? As we're learning to be an acceptance of others, we're learning to be an acceptance of ourselves. And so that's going to be a huge lesson that we're going to learn. And you guys, the reason why we do the hard work, and it's hard work, and if it was easy, then there wouldn't have been 4,000 people that watched our meeting last week, right? If it was easy, you guys, everybody would be doing it. And on Sunday, we'd all get together and go to the beach instead of have this meeting.
Well,
right?
if there was a pill that I could take with no
I took those pills, it doesn't
consequences.
work. I took a lot of them, right? If
So there's no
there's a
easy
pill,
out.
we take a bottle of them because we're addicts.
Right, or I had the surgery, okay?
Right, same, but,
Yeah.
but
So-
thank you for sharing that. Thank you. Good morning. So you don't have to say a word, or you can say good morning, or you can say anything about how you feel if you'd like to. It's really cool to have you here this morning.
Thank you.
Thanks. You feel like chatting, or you want to listen, or?
I'd rather listen.
Okay, good. I figured that, but I figured I'd give you a chance anyway. Do you want to share, or do you want me to get back with you, or do you want to listen?
I'll just listen.
Okay, good. So hopefully, maybe I'll call you out later. All right, I'm gonna start this way this morning. Good morning, Laura. Peace in, girlfriend. You're muted.
Good morning.
Good morning, baby. How are you?
I'm truly okay. I'm learning though something really interesting. We've touched on that before, and that is that so the past number of days, after I had the conversation at last time we all spoke, I had mentioned that a friend of mine and I had gone out, and she'd said she never really felt like she got to know me, right?
Mhm.
Because apparently I talked about other people and I was very surfacey and everything's good, whatever. So I've been thinking a lot about that, and I started sharing a little bit with some people that I'm in recovery, and I'm a food addict, right? And, that I'm going to our meetings and how it's helped me and whatever. And it's been really interesting because they haven't been necessarily supportive. They've been kind of very judgmental, like
Okay.
even if it's not being said, and the whole thing about what I'm explaining, about how food addiction, and it could be any kind of addiction, it's basically all the same thing. They don't necessarily get it. And what I'm finding is, and that's fine, whatever, but I'm realizing for the first time, I don't know, I'm almost feeling like it's illuminating something that's already been there, and I'm not wanting to be friends with them.
Okay.
That's what's going on. I'm finding that, I'm like, well, wow, maybe they can't understand this part of what my journey is or what I'm going through. And that's okay. But it's the more of the kind of like that I'm feeling judged.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so we're gonna go back to that first. First of all, it's super brave of you to do that. Second of
Yeah.
all, we know you can show up and do your best to do your best. That you have control over, right? The way
Right.
that Dawn reacts to what you say, you have no control over. Nor is it your place to try to, right? So you have control of your own perspective and your own actions. The way that the rest of the world receives it is about
Yes.
them. Remember, when we're talking about our faults, or we're talking about some type of addiction or behavior, at times, and it doesn't matter why people act the way that they act, but oftentimes people judge you because they have some type of feelings about it themselves, right? Okay, and remember, and we're gonna go back to that, forgive them, for they know
Yeah.
not what they do.
Right.
Right? And so they are the way that they are. Remember, if I'm a bitch, it's because I'm a bitch. It's not because you presented or said something to me. Laura, is there anything that you could say in this room right now? And I'm gonna leave this meeting and say, well, I don't wanna talk to Laura anymore. Is there anything you can say to me and I would have that reaction?
No.
No matter what it was. Even if you said, you know what, Felice, I think you're a loudmouth bitch, and I think that you should stop talking and let everybody else talk because you think you're so great and you're so smart and you think that you know everything and you sit up there and da-da-da-da-da-da. When the meeting's over, am I gonna say to Haiti, well, I can't stand Laura anymore? No. I'm gonna say, hey, you know what? Bet Laura's going through something. I'm gonna reach out to her later and see if she needs some help.
Yeah.
Right? Because I don't need to take that personally. The way that you present isn't about me. It's
Yeah.
about you. And so the people that don't want to lend their hand, or remember, we don't need people to say, hey, that's so awesome. You're in recovery and, you know, kudos to you. We don't need them to say that, right? That's about us. But clearly, if you're hanging out with people that are judging you, then you want to check what were your motives to begin with to be friends with those people? What is it that you wanted from those people? Because realistically, our hope is that once we change our perspective and we change our actions, that we're going to realize that the people that are around us are people that are loving and caring. You know, Haiti will tell you about people that aren't friends with her anymore, and she has no idea why. And even on Facebook, I see I see these things go up all the time where they say, for addicts, if you want to know who your friends are, go tell people that you're in recovery and see how many people stay in the room. Right? We're taking a look at ourselves to better ourselves. That's about us. Other people that don't accept it, sorry, but F them if they can't take a joke, man. My patients know that I'm in recovery. If they don't want to see me anymore because they don't trust me as an addict in recovery, so be it. Right? So be it. We talked about this too, remember, I'm a mom and a sister and a friend. I have a PhD. I'm a physician assistant. I have all of these things, and I'm an addict in recovery.
Right.
And that's okay. All of those things brought me to exactly right here. Right? It's those are facts. Those are things that I am, right? Being good, caring, kind, loving, and having acceptance, that's about what I've chosen to be. And if you don't feel comfortable with that, so be it. And I'm sorry that you have to take a look at that because that part sucks for you. It sucks for all of us when we're going through that. It really does.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's just been interesting because it's like, you know, now, but as I said before, I don't have tolerance. Like I'm sort of noticing though, it's okay. Like I'm, one of them I'm surprised. The rest of them I'm like, great, go, you know, because I don't have tolerance. If you're not going to, if I can't be honest and be who I really am, unapologetically, honestly, I don't want to be friends with you. I don't want to, you know, I don't.
Okay, remember tolerance is something that we have because tolerance keeps me healthy. Acceptance and boundaries are two different things. Boundary, will I be friends with you when you're not nice to me? That's a boundary, right? No, I prefer not to hang with you if you're not nice to me. Acceptance and tolerance allows me to feel okay. Again, forgive them, for they know not what they do. Did they wake up in the morning saying, gee, I really hope to hurt Laura today? Probably not. Is that about them? Yes, it is.
Yeah.
Do you accept the fact that that's the way that they are? Because when I say I don't have tolerance for that,
Right.
if I'm angry about it, the person that it's hurting is me.
Okay.
So to have acceptance and tolerance and to be able to say, wow, that's the way that this is.
Mm-hmm.
I appreciate that. I'm going to let them go. Right? And I'm going to move on. Right? And maybe choose differently this time. But remember, the acceptance, the tolerance, the forgiveness is about you. Forgiveness is a gift we give ourselves. Tolerance is a gift that I give me. Right? No matter what you say, and Laura, you're tough on the outside, man. No matter what, and you always present correctly. No matter what you say, it's painful. It's kind of sucky. You know, it's an ouch in our face. Wow. And we do go back to that. You know, I've been a great friend and I've done the right things. And, you know, I'm really surprised that I'm being treated like that. And it hurts our feelings. We're still allowed to be human beings, right? We're still allowed to say, ouch, that was kind of painful.
Yeah.
And to say, wow, you know, I'm going to forgive them. because I need to forgive them so that I'm not walking around angry, right? And I'm going to pick other people to hang with, but still having to go through it sucks. And I'm going to tell you that the stuff that you share is always really important stuff, because there are a whole lot of people out there, once they step into recovery, that have gone through the exact same thing.
You know, this is also triggering certain thoughts with me, and it takes me back to when I first started getting recovery and understanding it. There's certain people in my life that I can't choose to have in my life. I have family, and I'm bound to see them because I love them, and they're my family. I got friends that understood, they might not understand recovery, but they love me enough to be, that they don't shame me in what I'm doing.
Right.
They don't always get it. Then there were friends of mine that were really confused about what I was doing because it spoke to something in them. And then there were those people that just didn't want to hear it and that shamed me. And those are the people that I kind of cut out of my life. Those ones that absolutely were intolerant, or those that they just kind of fell to the wayside because they couldn't be around me. But I also remember in the beginning, I was very gung-ho. You know, when I got it, I was trying to convert everyone until I realized that, you know, recovery is something, a lot of people who need it, but it's for people who really want it. And just because it's working for me doesn't mean that I need to be preaching from the choir. Do you know what I'm saying?
Which you were.
Which I was. And I was really judgmental, and I was really unbelievably mean to certain people because I thought I was so right. And that's my ego. I've got a huge ego. But I'm starting to learn to make, you know, I can love someone who's very different than me just because I love that person for who they are.
You know, and part of it wasn't that you were judgmental. Part of it was that, you know, I just drank the proverbial sugar-free Kool-Aid. I just drank the Kool-Aid, and I want everybody else to drink it too, right? It's like, wow, I'm feeling better, and I really want to share this with you. And you say, and I know we say, you know, recovery isn't for people who want it, it's for people that, it's for people who are willing to take a look at themselves and do the work that they need to do to change their perspective so they can change their actions. And so, is it important that other people get it? Unfortunately, it's not. It's important that we get it so that we can live happier, so that we can learn to be happy. Yes, ma'am.
I'm so glad that I came here today, and I was thinking about what she was saying, and you know, I understand when you're talking about friends and how you can you know, choose not to be around those particular people. But what do you do when it's your spouse? Like today, I couldn't even tell my husband where I was coming because he's so negative and he doesn't understand what I'm going through. It is so hurtful, but I can't stop talking to my husband. So what do you do?
So that's correct. And so part of the recovery, and thank you for sharing that, and look at me for a second. I'm sorry that you're hurting. I really am. Part of, remember, in recovery, we're going to learn to be tolerant of the way that the world is and accepting of the way that the world is. Will we make some scary choices as far as the people that we hang with? Yes. You know, well, was I with somebody? Did I live with somebody for a very long time that I was in love with? Yes, I was. Did he get clean when I got clean? No, he didn't. Am I in that relationship now? No, I'm not. And so we're going to make different choices along the way. First, we're going to realize that because I'm feeling a certain way, or I want to change something that's going on inside of me, doesn't mean that Angela's going to be on board. It doesn't mean that she's going to. And so the change is going to be about me. It's right now, you're going to be, I would imagine, I'm guessing, that you're going through the, oh shit, oh shit, oh shit, oh shit, oh shit. What happens if I decide to make this change? What is my life going to look like then? Who am I tolerant of? Who am I, you know, how am I going to look at my life and say, what is the difference between me having acceptance and me having certain boundaries, right? Because boundaries change the place that we are. Those are things that you're going to learn in recovery. You guys, we run workshops. And so in the workshop, we get pretty deep into why it is that we feel how we feel, how it is that we change the way that we feel so that we could change the way that we see things, so that we could change our actions, no matter what's happening. There are two things that you're in control of. That's your own perspective and your own actions. You show up the way that you show up. I act the way that I act. Believe it or not, has nothing to do with the way that you show up. And so those are some of the things that you're going to learn, and it gets less scary. and we make choices. Am I going to be tolerant of this? You know, this guy, okay, he's negative and he's being this and and am I going to take a look at what I love about this person, you know, and stay? Or am I going to decide that this is a situation that's not okay with me? And that's something that doesn't happen overnight, obviously. Takes time. And it's stuff that we work on, and that's okay. Right now, you step into this room for the first time, and there's got to be a whole lot of fear. Because every one of us has stepped into the room for the first time and had a whole lot of fear. Because once you start hearing things that resonate with you, right, it's scary. Remember, change, even when it's for the better, is scary, right? Shout out to Susan, best mom ever, who teaches me transition sucks, but it's awesome when you get to the other side. And so the sucky part of the transition is the scared, right? The definition of fear that we use is, I'm afraid of losing what I have or not getting what I want. Losing what I have, perhaps a relationship. Not getting what I want, the respect and care from people that I love. And so that's what you're going through now. That's the fear. And believe it or not, we'll all tell you that that gets better.
And also, I came in the same way. The loneliest place that I ever was in my marriage. I'm still married, 20 years this year. Shout out to Stephen. But when I came in, I was lonely, I was miserable, and it really took me working on me, and he's doing his own thing. But it really, I always thought two halves make a whole, and that's a lie. Two wholes make a whole, and whatever that looks like, it looks like, but all I can deal with is one day at a time. You know, hurting myself and picking up and using isn't going to make the situation any better. So you're very brave and very courageous.
Yeah, and it sucks for you right now,
Well,
and I'm sorry.
And keep
Yeah.
coming back, because this is what we do. We support each other. We hear from each other. We don't need to do this alone.
Nor can you, you know, what you're at, basically you're at a group. You know, whatever kind of group you want to be at is the group that you're at. You know, do we have to, you know, pick our hand up to every single person that we meet and say, hey, you know what, my name is Felice and I'm an addict in recovery? No. You know, some of us choose to do that, some of us don't. So since this is about honesty, is the best way to have to go about it to lie? No. But I'm sure there's some truth about what you're doing that you can share. I'm going to meet a bunch of girls for coffee. If you bring a coffee, then you met a bunch of girls for coffee, and I'm in. You met a bunch of girls, and I'm in for coffee. So, you know what I mean? I'm going, you know, down to Fort Lauderdale to meet the group for coffee. That's the truth. And for right now, that can be enough of a truth. Right? Right? And let the rest go. Thank you for sharing that. Thank you. Angie, you ready to share, baby? Or you want to...
Okay, yes.
Okay, go.
So we're talking about honesty, right?
Yes.
I was trying to think if my topic has to do with honesty, but either way I'm gonna share it, because I don't have anything else to say. So this week, I guess since our last meeting and maybe even before then, I've been feeling like I've reverted back to some old thinking, because I have, and I guess the significance of me bringing that up is that I don't know, like, I guess it reminds me, first of all, that, like, recovery isn't linear, and I really had a taste of, like, if I don't work for not that I'm not working in recovery, but, just that it takes work, and it takes, you know, constantly doing the next right thing to move forward, and that you do have moments of regression in your thinking, and for me, I guess the significance of that is that in those moments, like, I was scared this week because it made me think, like, wow, I can go back to exactly the place I came from a year and a half ago, like, completely back.
So there are a couple of things important that you said for other people to make it relatable. You lost 100 pounds, that didn't make you better. That's first of all. You've been working on your recovery. That doesn't, you guys, and you say this, we don't work on a recovery, get the gold star and graduate. It's not like that, right?
Yeah.
And sometimes in our thinking, we're gonna go forward and we're gonna go backward. Sometimes our own thinking, we look at our own thinking and we're like, oh my God, like how did I get back here? And then we're scared again, right? Scared of either losing what we have. I've come so far, now why am I going backward? Right? I'm gonna lose all of that time. It doesn't work like that. You guys, life basically is a couple steps forward, a couple of steps back, maybe a step forward today, maybe 6 steps back, but I'm gonna catch up as long as I'm working on it and I'm willing to do the work that I need to do to keep moving forward.
I think that too, like in addition to what you just said, like yesterday was a day where I was really sad yesterday and I was crying, I was upset most of the day. And I think I needed that setback, so to speak, to move forward, because I have this feeling I'm only a day removed from yesterday. But it's like already I feel stronger than I was yesterday, and knowing that the way that happened, yes, it can happen. I can regress to what seems like way back to a year and a half ago, and then come out of it the next day being okay. It's not a thing that has to last forever.
And I'm gonna let you speak. And I'm gonna tell you the only difference between yesterday and today
Is my
is your
perspective.
perspective,
Yeah.
right? Our perspective is our life, thank you. Our perspective is our life. I look at the world as a great place where some scary stuff happens, or I look at the world as a scary place where once in a while something good happens. That's my perspective. And so yesterday the world was a scary place for you. Believe it or not, we choose that. It's a choice that we make. We look at what's caca or we look at what's good. As human beings, are we gonna fall back and fall short? Of course we are. Definitely we are. We're human beings. It's how long do we stay there? When we were in active addiction, how long did we stay there? How long do we stay stuck and sick and scared before reaching out for some help? Right? Or how long do we say, okay, right now I'm acting a little kooky. You know, I kind of feel like I did when I was in active addiction spiritually. I'm gonna reach out and do what it is that I need to do. I'm gonna change my perspective. I'm gonna do my gratitude list. I'm gonna reach out to somebody in the community. I'm gonna find out what's happening in here. I'm not picking up, and I'm gonna find out what's happening in here so that I can move forward.
You know, we often forget
Thank
that
you.
we didn't get here overnight. Like
We didn't.
No,
We
many
didn't.
of us, we've been addicts for most of our lives, or really long periods of time, and things don't change overnight. You know, we've got that voice that talks to us, and for many people, relapse happens. It's not everybody's story, but in NA, they mark time with key tags, and it takes it takes a couple of seconds to go from a white, which is the surrender tag. Well, it goes from the black, which is if you got multiple years, to a white if you just pick up. And the thing is,
I did that
I did
7
that.
years. 7 years clean.
I did that on
relapse.
different things as well. So it becomes, you know, we're not, just because we step into a program doesn't mean that all of a sudden we fixed and that this is a cure-all. We still have this thinking, we still work in progress. The difference, I honestly believe, with recovery is we know what it looks like. We know
Right.
what it feels like, and we have that choice of either going back and staying there for as long as we want to stay there, or moving forward. But the thing is, we learn from each other. So we all of a sudden, we've got these tools. We've got the community online that's on Facebook that we can reach out anytime, because we have people all around the world that are there, and we say we're struggling or just getting it out of our system, because the craziest place to sit is in our head and stay in our head. The other thing is our gratitude list that we ask you to post every single day, because it helps shift that thinking. They say shift your thinking or shift a muscle. Do something for someone else. Step into service. Do something for someone else. You know, we've got all these different tools. Come to a workshop. We have a workshop in the middle of next month. It's the second last Saturday.
July 21st.
July 21st, thank you. To find out if you really are an addict, or if your life's unmanageable, or if this is really, if recovery is for you. I mean, it's an intensive workshop. Start stepping up if this is speaking to you.
Of course, you guys, just a shout out to our people that are already in workshop. You're more than welcome. Obviously, you don't pay. You're in a workshop. You don't pay to be in the one-day workshop. And we welcome you guys, because where you are as opposed to where you were, it's going to be helpful for other people to know. So whoever was in workshop, show up for that day as well. It doesn't cost you anything. Angeli, one of the very most important things is that had this been 9 months ago, you would have sat there for a long time,
Yeah.
a long time. And this morning you still would have been there, and perhaps in 3 weeks you still would have been there. And that just isn't the way that it is for you right now. And that's a really super important part.
And can I also add
Yeah.
something else? When Haiti was saying whatever she said just now, I was thinking that, like, yes, we have the choice to sit in it or get better or do something to make ourselves get out of it. But something that I've learned is that yes, I can make those decisions to do those things, but I can also sit in it and I can be okay.
So that's very, 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 and I know that I just got you off because we know that's what I do. But that's super important too. So guys, having some negative feelings, believe it or not, the earth didn't open up and swallow her up. Like she's still here.
Right, because yesterday I talked to you extensively and I talked to Haiti, and I think I only talked to you two. And, and I talked to someone else.
Right.
And I was really struggling yesterday, and I don't think that having a conversation with any of you, yes, it helped that you were there, but it didn't change my whatever. I had to decide to let it be, so to speak. And in that moment, I wasn't in a place where I could do something to make it better because mentally I wasn't in that place. I just had to let it pass, go along my day, do the best to be okay with myself, go to sleep, wake up today, and I'm thankfully not in that place.
Go ahead.
I love that you bring this up because, you know, when I was in active addiction, I had two feelings, good and bad. Like those
Right.
were the two. And all of a sudden, stepping into recovery, all these emotions start happening, the emotions that I don't know what to call them or what they are. And being able to sit in it sometimes helps us realize that this is what it actually is and this is what it looks like and this is what it feels like. And it's all part of the learning. It's just when I get into those emotions where I start beating myself up and they become negative and I start either wanting to hurt myself or getting to a really dark space, I now know what that looks like or what what's starting to trigger that, and how long I want to sit there is something that I can determine. But I love that you said that. It's a learning process.
And so what you guys are also talking about is that feelings aren't facts. They're feelings. That's all they are. They don't make me who I am. They're just what I'm feeling at the second, right? Fact is that we're sharing a recovery meeting. Feeling is that somebody feels uncomfortable right now sharing. So there's some discomfort. It goes away. It's just a feeling.
You know, am I monopolizing?
Go ahead.
Okay. You know, something else I gathered from yesterday is that in talking to you, you know, you and I have a very special relationship. We're very close. And I think I didn't realize this until yesterday. And growing up, when something's wrong, I've been in a dynamic where everyone wants to fix it. And you were not in the fixing mode. You were in the mode of you're an adult. You're going to figure this out. You're going, I'll be here to support you however you can. And I think that because of my perspective and looking for that way of like looking to you or whoever I was talking to make it better, it frustrates me because I have an expectation of what I want from you, I guess. And you know, when you're in a place where you're emotional, you don't know what's going on and you feel all these things. And so after I had the chance to kind of get out of that space and look at it rationally, I got to walk away seeing a lot of good things, not only about my recovery, but just as me growing up as an adult, because I don't think until I stepped in recovery, I got to step into that stage of my life. Because I'm 26, so I'm an adult, but
Clearly.
I lived, and when I'm in active addiction, I lived in that place of being scared and thinking and kind of having that mindset of a child, and that, you know, whoever's there is always going to be there to protect you. And it was good to see that I can hold my own and be okay.
Right, and that it wasn't fixed.
Right.
And that you actually got through the day.
Right.
Yeah.
So I actually just want to mention a couple of things while
Oh,
we
wow. We didn't even talk
I know,
to anybody.
so we
It's
haven't-
like,
So I just, we mentioned about gratitude and service, and we have people that show up all the time that really are of tremendous service to us to help get the message out, because living in addiction sucks. That's the loneliest, most fearful, horrible place to be, and doing it alone really sucks. So we're out there getting the message out that recovery is doable and there is a solution, and it is awesome. So I just want to say thank you to Anjali and Ahmed and to Karen and Dawn and Jessica, and also to this beautiful room that we get from Crim Agency and General Provision. We in Fact Village.
Thank you.
And we in their war room, and they gifted us this room so that no addict anywhere needs to suffer with addiction. And also just with gratitude, when people show up to the meetings, it helps remind me of where I've come from. It helps me learn so much because I learn something every time we get together. And it's humbling to be part of your journey and to have you along my journey as well.
Yeah.
So thank you for showing up.
Yeah, thank you guys for showing up and for being part of our recovery. Karen, do you have anything to share real quick? We're glad that you're feeling better.
Thank you. I just wanted to say I've been feeling anxious this weekend just because things are topsy-turvy, and my perspective has been skewed, and I realized that because this morning I feel better, and I realize I'm just kind of I'm missing the movie. I'm living in the future, like what if, and it's about nothing important. It's just me and my anxieties.
And that living in tomorrow doesn't serve you, does it?
No, absolutely not.
Right, because we
No,
might not be living tomorrow. That's first of all.
Right.
Right? So the earth can
I don't
open
think-
up and we have an
yeah.
earthquake and we all get sucked up, and then we spent our whole entire day today worrying about something that was never going to happen anyway.
Right. So it's I'm much better, much calmer, much more centered today, and actually, I'm doing okay.
And Karen, also with you in the past, before you did workshop, and you've done a bunch of workshops, and before you did that, you stayed stuck in yesterday, and you
Yes.
stayed stuck in tomorrow in your what ifs. And remember, it's okay to go there as long as we don't live there,
Right.
right?
And what I noticed yesterday is that I was angry with my husband because he didn't know how I was projecting and how I was feeling and how I was worried. And how would he know that?
He's not a mind reader.
He's not. Uh-oh.
I always expected Stephen to be able to read my mind. Like he had those little bubbles that
Exactly.
came up and said exactly what he should say in the perfect way of saying it.
Right.
Right? Yeah, that's awesome. So good job, you. I know that you worked super hard on your recovery, and again, we say that recovery isn't for those who want it or need it. It's for people who are willing to do whatever it takes to get there. You guys out there who have degrees from school, you didn't get them because you really hoped you got one. And you didn't get there because you wanted one, and you didn't get there because you needed one. You got there because you showed up, you worked your ass off, and you did what you needed to do to get there. And then we do continuing education, right? It's the way that we learn and grow and learn and grow and learn and grow. Not by sitting in a room and hoping that something's going to change.
So I went to all lengths to feed my addiction. So I would drive
Feed my
past,
addiction. Good.
Exactly.
Feeding my
So
addiction.
I would drive past McDonald's and tell them
Yes.
how I'm picking up food for my kids and hide the wrappers in the back, and then I'd go through another drive-through later, and I'd keep doing that the whole day, hiding wrappers, throwing it away, hiding food, binging when people didn't see it. I went to great lengths to use and feed my addiction. So honestly, if I look at the amount of effort that I put to that, and when I was picking up drugs, I would drive for miles to go meet a dealer and spend hours waiting for them and hope that they'd show up at a certain time. And sometimes they did, sometimes they didn't. But the thing is, I spent a lot of time and a lot of money feeding my addiction.
Yes, you did. Yes, you did.
Right.
Yeah, we all did. And again, being able to look at our life and realizing that too, like how much effort did I put into staying in addiction, and how much effort don't I want to put into being spiritually okay,
Right.
right? And that difference. So,
We got time probably for another share.
who signed up for workshop? Jess?
Yeah.
Jess signed up for workshop. Go girl. Hi. It was so cheap. I don't know how everybody on the planet isn't signing up for workshop, but that's okay.
That's a dig at me, by
And
the
I
way.
handled that very well, by the way, in front of everybody when you did that on Thursday. So good for me. How are you, Jess?
Mixed. Yeah, I'm feeling a bit mixed, but I'm grateful I'm here actually.
Okay, so you said absolutely nothing. So do you want to say something about how you're feeling? Because this is how it's going to be in workshop. So we don't let you skirt around stuff. So what do you mean you're feeling mixed? About what, hon?
Just a situation which I sort of was touched on a bit earlier on. Is this for me? It's the boundaries. When I set a boundary,
Mm-hmm.
and I feel, unfortunately, there's a situation where I've set a boundary with someone and they've basically reacted in anger and then reacted in that, well, I'm selfish. The thing with that is I've always been very unselfish towards other people in certain ways. I mean, you know, obviously I'm selfish because I'm an addict, but the point is, in this situation, I'm trying to reinforce a boundary to protect myself, but it's being seen obviously as that I'm being selfish in a horrible way.
And you care because? Are you doing something that's gonna help you?
I'm doing it because I want to confront the situation later on with this person, and I want to do it out of a place of not being angry with them.
Okay, and did you say that? Right now I'm going through some stuff and I'm a bit angry, so we're gonna put off this conversation until later.
I've said that, you know, I need some time to process what's been going on, and, you know, I will contact that person when I'm ready, but
Perfect.
she's still obviously going for it.
And do you have any control over how the other person acted? Do you have control over how the other person received it?
No, I don't.
No, you don't. End of discussion. That's all. And so if the other person, first of all, if the other person didn't act or react the way that they were, you probably wouldn't have need to set a boundary. That's first of all, right? If that person was somebody that came to you lovingly and caringly and said, hey, wow, you must be going through it right now, Jess. Let me know if there's anything that I can help you through. Those are the kind of people that you're going to find that are in this recovery room. Okay? Because that's what I would say. If you said, Felice, I'm having a challenge with you right now and I can't talk to you about it, I need some time. I'm just letting you know, do me a favor and don't reach out to me. And when I'm ready, I'll reach out to you. My answer to you would be, wow, you know what? Good for you. And let me know if there's anything that you need. Or do you need somebody else's phone number so you can get in touch with them? You need some help, right? And I wish you well. Those are what people who are actually kind and tolerant and caring, that's the way that they act. I know a lot of those people. The people that get pissed off because you need some space or some time for yourself, again, there's probably a reason why you needed that boundary. And so remember that you said, and you used to say this, Haiti, I would show up and I would do this for someone and this for someone and this for someone. Our motives then were to be liked. Our motives then were, I'm going to present myself in a certain way, ego. I'm worried about how you see me. So that no matter what's happening, you'll like me. That ain't reality. What is that? That's a bullshit relationship you have with somebody, right? Be authentic. Take care of yourself. Be kind to others. Present your words with as much kindness as you can. And the way that it's received on the other end ain't none of your business.
I just wanted to also say something here, is you started off by saying you've always been very considerate to others. My suggestion is see that as yourself as well.
Girl,
put yourself into that picture and start being considerate to yourself. And remember, we've been treating others, know how to treat us, because that's how we've taught them for so long. And when we start changing, it takes a little bit of time for that to kick in and for them to start understanding whatever they're going to do, they're going to do. But my primary focus in my recovery is putting my recovery first and dealing with me, and everything else will fall into place, or however it is.
Yeah, thank you for saying that. And I used to say, and it sounds crass, but I can't be treated like a doormat unless I lay down in front of the door. That's about me.
So we've got like 1 minute left. So I just wanted to quickly say, I did this behind Felice's back, but I put on the
She did it
workshop
kind of on my side.
as like an early bird registration for $24.99, okay, which is crazy, but it's only until the end of this week, and then it's going to go back to
The
the normal
regular
price.
price.
So it's all on Facebook, and if you want it, it's there.
Yeah, and it's going to be a couple hours. It's going to teach us, are we addicts? Do we belong in a workshop? What's going on with us? Those questions that seem so difficult to find the answers, that actually the answers are right in front of your face, and we're just going to help you find that. I'm going to read from the big book of Alcoholics Anonymous. You guys, we're not one of the A groups. Shout out to all of them, but we're not one of them. We're just two girls that are chatting about recovery here. And this is from the big book of AA. If we are painstaking about this phase of our development, we will be amazed before we are halfway through. We are going to know a new freedom and a new happiness. We will not regret the past, nor wish to shut the door on it. We will comprehend the word serenity, and we will know peace. No matter how far down the scale we have gone, we will see how our experience can benefit others. That feeling of uselessness and self-pity will disappear. We will lose interest in selfish things and gain interest in our fellows. Self-seeking will slip away. Our whole attitude and outlook upon life will change. Fear of people and of economic insecurity will leave us. We will intuitively know how to handle situations that used to baffle us. We will suddenly realize that the universe does for us what we couldn't do for ourselves. Are these extravagant promises? We don't think so. They're being fulfilled among us, sometimes quickly and sometimes slowly, but they do always materialize if we work for them. My name is Dr. Felice Cellini. Thank you so much for being a part of my recovery, you guys. I'm blessed and grateful to be in recovery.
We meet up again on Thursday at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. If we never got to answer your questions or chat today, come again on Thursday so we can talk some more. And if no one told you today that they love you, I love you, and have a beautiful week.
Peace out, you guys.
everyone.
Recovery is awesome. Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you, everyone.
Aaron.
See you.